But yes, here we go. A new EP, a new collection of tracks from Zomboy, Dead Man Walking Part 2. Self-released, I think, yet again from him, which he's been doing, well, kind of on his Rotten Roll Records thing, but that isn't a label that's, expanding beyond just him, I think, pretty much at the moment. And this is the first EP from him since Dead Man Walking Part 1, of course, which came out a couple of years ago. And yeah, always look forward to new Zomboy. I mean, I've but I haven't been particularly enamored or just like, really, really fully enjoyed a lot of his material from the last few years. But he's always got that knack for, putting out a banger, making a banger, a true hit, an absolute, howitzer of a modern dubstep cut. And he's been branching out into other genres as well in the last few years, lest we forget. Loving the artwork. I absolutely love the colorway with this artwork. I love the image. Having no text makes it even more powerful. Hopefully it's going to be a good representation of what the music is going to sound like. We've got 5 tunes here. The opener is called Fallout, and there were a couple of singles that came out before the EP that I haven't heard yet, so I heard none of it going into it. Front to back, start to finish, let's go. Western vibes. Zomboy loves the Western vibes. Straight in with it. Okay. Oh, those little bouncy bits. Ooh. And those bits as well. Oi, 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 oi. Bam, 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 bam. Oh. Those little yeah, those staccato kind of jabs that are all isolated. I'm a big fan of those. Big fan of those. Ooh, some more Western vibes. Really, with the world building, man, there's few that match him, to be honest. Oh lordy, a proper speed up. What are we gonna get here? Oof. Someone mentioned Crank That earlier, and I thought that was a very good comparison. The kind of metallic aesthetic dipped in and out of, heavy, tear-out leaning kind of dubstep, but with a bro-steppy flavour, and then into house and then back again. The way it did that kind of interchangeably was very Crank That. I loved the world building that we get with the Western vibe, all the trumpets and stuff like that, the brass sounds in the introduction, the midsection, really, really good. I'm a big fan of that. The heaviness has some really good moments, I think, especially for me in the dubstep. The whole do that staccato, jumpy, bouncy, kind of staggered layout, jabbing notes kind of vibe. I'm a big fan of that. Besides that, there's quite a lot of like blah, blah, like heavy, hitting your head against a wall heaviness that isn't particularly inventive, but it kind of works as an introductory bit of heaviness, if you know what I mean. The house I'm not quite as big on. It feels a little bit clunky, doesn't quite get the flow right, I don't think, and that has been a bit of a thing with him trying out that kind of tempo, that kind of structure. It's for me never had that, proper flow quite about it. It doesn't flow and have that really, like fluid feel to it quite for me. But I do like, again, the way that he's going in and out of those styles. I think it's quite effective considering what the tune is overall. Track number 2, we have DEAD, Dead, with Eddie, which is an interesting one, an interesting collaboration, but apparently they're very good friends, so makes sense that they would work on something at some point, and here it is. No Mr. Big today, people, because I need to sleep. So we've got a little Manchester mug. And with the Western vibes, where the cowboy hat's at.
This time, make sure they're all dead.
Who the fuck is...
Okay. Okay, okay. The sound is good, the production's fantastic. It's got this real like gristle kind of underpinning it and pushing it forward, but there's no like flavour, there's no real like excitement to the idea, no creativity taking it in different directions. And it was the same with the first drop when it initially came in. It sounds great, the production's amazing, and it's hard making a sound that big, like clean and good on the ear, and they really do that well. But man, there's just not. There's not a lot going on with the idea. There's not a lot happening.
This time, make sure they're all dead.
I just feel like he's been in a position for a few years now where his go-to is like big walls of sound, just bam, 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 bam. It can be a bit staggered, a bit more like interestingly laid out here and there, but for the most part, it's just like full throttle. And, I'm sorry, but I am going to be that guy who just goes like, think back to the Dead Symphonic and think back to Outbreak and just projects like this and how unbelievably creative they were. And it feels like he's fallen prey a little bit just to the trends and tropes of what modern dubstep has become in this last kind of half decade. And he was, absolutely one of the ones where I was always thinking, damn, like if anyone's going to go beyond that and just keep doing their own thing, keep really, having the storytelling be a part not only of the introductions and the midsections, but the heaviness as well. I would have thought he would have been one of those ones who just goes for that every time and goes beyond like just the pure headbang appeal and the, again, just smacking your head against a brick wall kind of vibe. Because he can do it. He's an incredible musician, beyond just being an incredible technician, producer, all of this stuff. It sounds great on the ear, and that is impressive, again, with the sound being that loud, but the idea in its different forms here, the different kinds of dubstep we got across the track, just didn't really go anywhere, didn't really do very much. But yeah, again, don't get me wrong, did sound fantastic. Next up, though, we have Project Z. Okay. What is that reminding me of? What is that reminding me of? Hellburst. Hellburst. Damn. You actually got it. I think that is what it is. I think that's what I'm remembering. Damn. Ooh, okay. That's switching it up a bit. Okay, yes. Okay. Yeah, okay, this one's hitting. This one's hitting for sure. This one is hitting. Introduction, brilliant. I mean, that might be because it was reminding me of a song that I already know and like quite a lot. But the heaviness as well here, I think it's just got that right amount of hop and skip to it. It's still like, tear out leaning, kind of like big sounds hitting at you, but the flow of it is there. The placement of all the notes is there, and they've got he has got all these fantastic little grisly moments with the breaks just kind of complementing and supplementing the main idea that we've got. Yeah, this one's tickling me. These bits, man. That's got a bit of Beast Boy about it, actually. Like, yeah, I'm gonna go as far as to say that is my favourite Zomboy track since Last One Standing. Is that what it's called, with Must Die? I mean, that is one of the tracks of the decade so far, in my opinion. But this one is like, it's getting some way towards being on that level, I think. This one has got a lot of flavour. The introduction comes back in the midsection. Fantastic, lovely kind of bubbly underlying feel about it. Really gets you in the mood for the heaviness that we're going to get. And the heaviness just comes in all these different guises. different layouts, different kinds of delivery with the jabs, and then the more staccato stuff, the more like wiry electronic stuff, the diddle it, diddle it, diddle it, diddle it, and then the other stuff that kind of props it up in those little breaks. There's just a lot going on here, and it just separates itself, I think, as the middle cut from the first two. It's just got that note placement that little bit more exact, that little bit more refined, and I think the sound usage here is a little bit more experimental, and because of that there's just more things taking your attention in different directions. It's just got way more of a dynamic, I think, than the two that came before it. So yeah, mile and away my pick on the EP so far, but we've got two more to go, and the first of those is the final full length cut really. It's Delete Me with Micah Martin. Oh man, where is this gonna go? Oh lordy. Oh lordy. Oh dearie me. That's mad. From Zomboy. Zomboy did that. Definite rewind. Rewind on that biatch. Ain't no way this is happening. Ooh, okay. Hey. Like, it's really gurgly and gritty and filthy, but it's also really colourful and fruity. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's got that freshness about it that really brings you in. Yeah, that was a complete tune, out the blue and unexpected, but very, very welcomed. Zomboy just having a go at that squelchy, colourful, filthy, radiant D&B kind of style. Just super gurgly stuff going on there. I think it suits his style very well. Thought the Micah Martin vocal was good. Just prepared you for it in a way. I mean, the build did most of that with the instrumental. The more calm bit with the vocal sample that was quite eerie, the way it ramped up from there. But, you know, the grandeur of it, the bigness of the tune overall was delivered by Micah Martin in that introduction and that midsection as well. So all tying together with that one, if I'm being honest, really did have the potential for those elements to come together and not really work and feel a bit out of place and a little bit odd, a little bit at odds as well. But no, I think it all comes together with that tune, fully threw me, and a very welcome surprise for the EP at that final main track for it, because now we've got a 1 minute 53 cut called Inhumation Coda. It's a classic drawn out, classical orchestral, just closing the curtains kind of vibe. You can hear the Micah Martin vocal in the distance of that, can't you? You can just hear it kind of. So it's kind of like an extension of Delete Me, isn't it? It's just like a added section at the end that's been made as like an outro, not only for that track but for the EP as well. I think he's done that just so that people don't look at the track length of Delete Me and go, oh fuck it, that's way too long, I'm not going to check that out. So he's just kind of separated there into, you know, one main track and then like an outro that's kind of attached at the end. But yeah, that was a nice way of rounding off the EP as a whole. But yeah, the EP generally, I think we've had a few examples of this in the recent past actually, where the first two cuts just they're not comparable heaviness wise, drops wise, ideas wise for me with what follows. And that kind of leaves the first impression for the EP. You always want the more impactful ones, the more diverse ones, the more dynamic ones to be at the front. because that leaves someone excited to go into it again from the beginning and hear the other two. You know, as long as the first two are good and like super compelling, which some people, by the way, will argue they are with the track listing of this EP. Some people will argue that. For me, they're not quite as, you know, dynamic again or creative or exciting or inventive as the ones, the second two that we get. If you've got the first two being the most compelling and out there and creative, people are always going to be like, okay, yeah, I'll just hear the other two then and kind of make a thing of it. Whereas if the first two aren't that great, it's going to stop people from hearing it from beginning to end. It can be easily divided up, this EP, for me, into stuff that kicks it off, which isn't that great in my opinion. Like, it's good, it sounds amazing on the ear, it really hits, but the ideas, I'm like, I can miss them. Do you know what I mean? Like, they don't scream out to me as tracks that I should hear again and again. Whereas the two following that, and the introduction as well at the end, the outro at the end as well to cap off the EP, are just great. But still some very good material on here that reminds me of, you know, close to the best of Zomboy. You know, not like his utmost creative self, but not that far from that, and enough to remind me that he is still one of the best, at least 100% in the production sense, and then also with some of the ideas we get here as well. I'm gonna leave it at that for my first listen coverage of this new 5-track EP from Zomboy called Dead Man Walking Part 2.